where a hug between two people in love can end in a courtroom, where an elderly man can spend 18 years behind bars and still not be considered to have paid his debt. This is not speculation. These are documented practices of the Islamic Republic of Iran, recorded by international human rights organizations, reported by global press, and confirmed by the Iranian government's own legal framework. What we are about to examine is not a list of isolated incidents. It is a pattern. The first thing most people think about when they think about Iran's laws is the hijab, and they are right to think about it, but not for the reason they assume. But records show it is the entry point to a much larger architecture of control. Since 1983, wearing the hijab has been compulsory by law for all women in Iran, including girls as young as 7. It is state law, enforced by a dedicated morality police force known as Gashti-Irshad, which means guidance patrol. According to reports from human rights organizations, these patrols operate on foot, by motorcycle, and in more recent years, through facial recognition cameras installed in public spaces. They are there to detect non-compliance. In September 2022, a 22-year-old Kurdish Iranian woman named Mahsa Amini was visiting Tehran when she was detained by the morality police. 3 days after her detention, she was dead. The government stated it was a cardiac event. The Iranian judiciary closed its investigation, concluding no wrongdoing. Independent forensic analysis of her case was never permitted. The response from the Iranian population was historic. Millions took to the streets under the slogan, "Woman, Life, Freedom." The pattern here is not just about a veil. It is about what happens when the population pushes back. If the enforcement of a dress code produces this level of documented violence, what does the enforcement of everything else look like? A woman's voice, according to the religious authorities that govern Iran's legal system, carries the potential for moral corruption. It is not metaphorical. It is written into cultural and broadcasting regulations that have been in effect since the Islamic Revolution of 1979. In 2018, an 18-year-old woman named Mehdi Hojabri was arrested after videos of herself dancing and singing in her home went viral on Instagram. She was brought before cameras and made to deliver what international press described as a coerced public confession, visibly distressed. Not violence, not harm to anyone. In 2023, according to reports from exile-based Iranian media, men who appeared in music videos alongside singing women were also being summoned and charged. The law had expanded its reach. Dancing follows the same logic. Since the establishment of the Islamic Republic, public dancing, especially between men and women, has been classified as a form of Western cultural corruption. The video had gone viral. They were made to apologize publicly on television. What is documented across all three of these cases, the veil, the voice, the dance, is not just a law, it is a methodology. The public humiliation functions as an amplifier. It is not enough to punish the individual. Physical contact between unmarried people who are not close relatives is criminalized under Iranian law. Hugging, holding hands, or sitting in close proximity in a public setting can result in arrest, fines, and corporal punishment. The charge was improper conduct. The morality police in that case had received a tip. It includes neighbors, acquaintances, and in documented cases, family members. This brings us to a dynamic that human rights researchers describe as one of the most psychologically corrosive aspects of life under this system. It is of each other. A photograph posted to social media can initiate an investigation. The charge used most frequently is spreading moral corruption. Sahar Tabah, a young Iranian woman who gained international attention in 2019 for heavily edited photos of herself, was arrested that same year and sentenced to 10 years in prison under charges that included blasphemy and inciting violence. International press reported that her actual offense was being provocative on the internet. She was eventually released following international pressure, but the charges remained on record. Photojournalists who have covered protests have been arrested. Foreign correspondents have been detained and deported. The mechanism used most frequently is a charge of cooperating with foreign hostile powers, a formulation broad enough to encompass almost any contact with international media. One case that illustrates the scope of this is that of Narges Mohammadi, an Iranian human rights activist and journalist who has been arrested multiple times and spent years in prison. She received it from her prison cell because the Iranian government did not release her to collect it. She gave her acceptance speech through her children, who delivered it on her behalf in Oslo. It is targeted. Journalists, activists, lawyers representing political prisoners, academics with foreign connections, members of ethnic minorities. This is not a recent development. Iran has occupied that position for over a decade. Several cases reported by the Academic Freedom Index involve students accused of collaborating with foreign governments based on nothing more than their enrollment in European or North American universities. The logic of the state, as it appears in these records, is that exposure to foreign education is itself a form of potential subversion. There are also 13-year-old girls who, under Iranian civil law, can be legally married with a father's or court's consent. Child marriage at those ages is statistically associated with interrupted education, elevated maternal mortality, and documented domestic abuse. The Iranian parliament has debated raising the age limit on multiple occasions. Now consider what we have documented so far, because the pieces are beginning to connect. A dress code enforced by surveillance cameras. Dancing classified as criminal. Physical affection between unmarried adults treated as an offense. Students surveilled for studying abroad. Children permitted to be married at 13. They form a coherent system oriented toward a single outcome, the elimination of any sphere of life that the state does not control. The next dimension of this pattern concerns what happens at the far end of the enforcement spectrum. According to Iran Human Rights, at least 853 people were executed in Iran in 2023. That figure represents an increase from the previous year. Both charges carry a mandatory death sentence, and both have been applied to political protesters, drug offenders, and members of religious minorities. In 2024, according to human rights monitoring reports, Ali Moizi, a 72-year-old man, was executed after spending 18 years in detention for activities linked to the opposition. The execution proceeded. The regime's position, as expressed through its judiciary, was that the sentence had been lawfully passed and lawfully carried out. The treatment of LGBTQ individuals in Iran is documented with particular precision by organizations including ILGA World, which compiles legal data on state-sponsored discrimination globally. Under Iranian Penal Code, same-sex relations are punishable by lashes and, in cases categorized as severe, by death. Their names were not publicly released by Iranian authorities. The trial was not public. The executions were. There is no legal framework in Iran under which an LGBTQ person can live openly. Activists who have attempted to document cases have been arrested. The regime's public framing of homosexuality is that it is a form of Western cultural imposition, not an aspect of human experience. Anything that falls outside the state's approved model of life is not just forbidden, it is foreign. Religious conversion follows the same structure. Iran's constitution formally recognizes a limited number of religious minorities, but in practice, conversion from Islam, particularly to Christianity, is treated as apostasy and prosecuted accordingly. The case of Youcef Nadakani, a Christian pastor sentenced to death for apostasy in 2010, received significant international attention and was documented extensively by religious freedom organizations. His sentence was ultimately overturned following international pressure, but he was detained again in 2018 on charges of acting against national security. Article 18, a religious freedom monitoring organization, has documented dozens of similar cases involving house church leaders, converted Christians, and members of the Baha'i faith. Internet access in Iran is filtered through one of the most sophisticated censorship infrastructures in the world. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and Telegram are officially blocked. In 2023, exile-based Iranian media reported that the government had developed spyware applications disguised as local social network tools designed to identify and track users who accessed foreign platforms. Several Instagram accounts were reportedly used as bait to identify dissidents. This is not censorship in the passive sense of blocking access. The full shape of what we have been examining is now visible. It is not 13 separate policies. The policy is this: no sphere of life, public or private, digital or physical, emotional or spiritual, will exist outside the authority of the state. The hijab is not about modesty. The prohibition on singing is not about religion. It is about the state's right to determine when a woman's voice may be heard. It is about the state's refusal to acknowledge that any debt can ever be fully paid. And yet, the young woman who posted a video of herself dancing in front of the Azadi Tower knew what she was risking. The journalists who continued reporting during the 2022 crackdown filed their stories anyway. What the documented record shows, alongside all of the repression, is that the system has not achieved what it set out to achieve. The protests of 2022 were the largest in the history of the Islamic Republic. The slogan, "Woman, Life, Freedom," was not invented by foreign agitators. It came from inside. The 2022 uprising was not the first. There were mass protests in 2009, suppressed with documented killings and mass incarcerations. Each cycle has been followed by the next one. The pattern on the regime's side is force. A refusal to fully disappear. Freedom, when it is systematically forbidden, does not disappear. Every hug that is given in full awareness of the risk it carries is a political act. Every note sung in a park by someone who knows the cameras are watching is a declaration. The Nobel Committee, in awarding its Peace Prize to Narges Mohammadi in 2023, noted that she had been arrested 13 times, convicted 5 times, and sentenced to a total of 31 years in prison and 154 lashes. She accepted through her children because she was still in a cell when her name was announced. She continued writing from inside that cell. The state had her body. It did not have her voice. They are attempts to make certain kinds of human life impossible. And the record shows that those attempts have failed, incompletely and at enormous human cost, but they have failed. The decision to remain as completely as possible human